Hey guys, it's been a while since the last video. I haven't really had time to put together the clips that I shot because of this weird thing called work. I think we should just forbid it. Nobody needs that. Anyways, I recently had the chance to fly on an Air China Boeing 747-400, and this is what I want to share with you today. There's currently one flight per day between Beijing and Shenzhen operated by 747-400. But in times of COVID, things are very flexible. Air China actually changed the equipment after I made the booking to another flight an hour later. So I rebooked my flight as well because there's no point in me going to Shenzhen in an Airbus A321. But in the end, I was able to catch a ride with this beauty before it most probably will go to retirement soon. The equipment being used is an aircraft registered Bravo 2472, a very special aircraft, but more on that later. I booked a seat on the upper deck of the airplane because I wanted to make sure that I can get access to all the areas of the airplane. When I got on the upper deck, I took this picture, and then the crew immediately freaked out because the cockpit door was still open. And you know how the cockpit of a Boeing 747 looks like is a big secret because there's no picture on the internet whatsoever. The cabin is really well in shape, even though the product seems to be really outdated. But for a 3-hour domestic flight, it's perfectly fine. This aircraft used to be the designated aircraft for state visits, so when Chinese leader would travel abroad, they would charter an airplane from Air China, and this one was typically the one. The flight attendant told me that typically they would remove the seats in the nose of the aircraft, the business class seats, and then install some VIP equipment there. China actually did not have a dedicated aircraft for state visits. They ordered a 767 from Boeing in the 1990s, but after delivery they found out it was wiretapped, so they gave it to Air China for regular use. A few years ago, they took one of the newly ordered Boeing 747-8 from Air China and modified it to a government airplane. That aircraft is registered Bravo 2479er, and it looks like a very regular aircraft of Air China from the outside. But supposedly it's heavily modified on the inside and probably also has some anti-missile equipment. But before that, they used this very aircraft. And also because of that, this aircraft is still blocked on flight radar and you cannot track it. So now let's listen to the 4 CF6 engines spooling up and to the beautiful Air China departure music. T3E, so the international part of Beijing Airport, is used mostly for parking only these days because there are hardly any international flights. You can also see a total of 8 Boeing 737 MAX parked on this picture. Interestingly, there's also a Boeing 747-400 from Lufthansa parked right at the bottom of this picture. It came in last night from Shenyang and will depart tonight to Frankfurt with passengers as Lufthansa 721. After the seatbelt signs went off, I started my tour on the aircraft. First, I went downstairs to the economy section to check out the huge wing of the 747. It feels a little bit like traveling back in time. There's no personal in-flight entertainment, and there's even someone reading a newspaper. When I was a kid, I took an Air China Boeing 747 at least 4 times between Beijing and Frankfurt, but of course I have no idea which aircraft it was exactly. But I do remember this view very, very well, because as a kid I was not able to fly further up front or even upstairs. I was also able to catch the high-speed aileron in action during a turn. The first class is located between the first and the second door, and there are no passengers on this flight. There's another business class section in the nose of the aircraft, and notice how the seats are different from those upstairs. This has to be my favorite discovery on board. It's located right above the stairs on the upper deck, and it's actually a fax machine. And you're supposed to swipe your credit card and then you can send a fax. It was probably delivered with the aircraft 24 years ago and declared as high-tech product, but I do wonder how often it has really been used so far. Meanwhile, we've started our approach to Shenzhen. As you might know, the city of Shenzhen was founded about 40 years ago as part of the economic reforms in China. And before that, it was just a small fishing village, and now you can see what's being done here. We flew south into the Pearl River Delta and then made a U-turn to the left to approach the airport from the south. So some of the mountains that you can see are already part of Hong Kong. So the main city area is actually on the other side of the aircraft. But even what you can see here, it's still pretty impressive because none of that existed just 40 years ago. Being on the approach, I really need to thank the crew for this flight today. They really delivered excellent service, but more importantly, they tolerated me as someone who just wanted to fly with this airplane. Wherever I went on board, they always asked me if I was looking for the bathroom because I was just looking everywhere because I just wanted to see everything. But when I told them that I just simply booked this flight because I wanted to fly with this airplane, they quickly understood, because apparently I'm not the first one doing that. The Chinese are pretty good at land reclamation, and during the final approach you can see a lot of activities going on here. There's simply not enough space on land, so they just have to grow into the water. And then there's the touchdown with the Queen of the Skies. Those Air China pilots really love their thrust reversers. Just in case if you don't know where you are, there's a big sign right here. And also you're greeted with beautiful landing music. Now it's for me to say goodbye to this beauty. And hopefully you will have many more happy landings before your retirement. Bye-bye.